No, it says you got to turn on your mic and camera, Theresa. They will need to connect their mic slash camera before you can add them to the stream. So, hi everyone who's here. Ford, CFF, Angel, how you guys doing? Good to see you. Stomper, Mac McDougal, what's up? Jay Malox, what's up, brother? Much love. How are you? Claudette, I saw your comment during that last video. You said it's not fair. Send me an email and I'll make you a nice ring, okay? Let's Otvo, what's up? Brandon Mitchell, what's up? Jethro Miller, what's up? Teresa's having technical difficulties right now, so let's watch some of this video so you can see who she is and what she's done and what this is kind of about here. This is her channel, Theresa Buccola or Buccola. I don't know how you say that with the Italian accent. And this is during beer bug time. And worst comes to worst, we'll just get her on an audio phone call, I guess. She's having problems hooking up with the StreamYard here. I told her, try your phone, Theresa. If you can't connect your mic and your camera on your PC or whatever you're using, just open your email on your phone and click that link. Southeastern PA Community Watch, what's up, my spirit animal? Laura Wados, what's up? Yeah, hi everybody. Yep, there's my email. I forgot why I said to email me, but there it is. So this was during COVID. An unelected city manager piece of crap, because they think they have all the power in the world, even though he's unelected. While the mayor invited everybody to come to this Carmel Beach, the day before the weekend, the city manager said, nah, let's put up a bunch of barricades and then have these thugs go and enforce some nonsense. All right, there's two Theresas. There she is. So let's watch a little bit of this so you get an idea.
A mere fraction of what has happened in federal litigation in the Northern District Court of California, particularly in discovery, after I filed a lawsuit pro se in June of 2022 for the despicable siege of Carmel Beach, which is a screenshot of what we're looking at here. And let me tell you, just batten down the hatches because you are in for one hell of a ride. This was a judicial notice I filed in the court in June of 2024.
Well, she's here, so let's bring her up.
Hey.
Oh, wait, let me get you in there. There you are.
Hey there.
Let's do this. Hi. Hi, Theresa.
Hey, John. Sorry about that. My computer's been giving me problems lately. So
okay. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm glad you came on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
My
you've
pleasure.
been doing amazing work.
I thank you so much. And I honestly wish I was 1/10 the person you are, because I don't have this kind of follow through like a lot of patriots do, because what you've done here through the court system and etc., just having the intestinal fortitude to go out on that beach and stuff. So let me think how we want to do this. So where are you from? Let's start that.
You mean where I grew up?
Yeah, sure.
New Jersey.
Is there any way you can like tilt the camera so there's that huge window in the back isn't?
Yeah. Hold on.
Watch you out a little more.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay.
So where are you from?
New Jersey.
Really? And this is over in California, this incident?
Yeah, I moved here 96.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you grew up in Jersey, though?
I grew up in New Jersey, spent 8 years in New York City, 5 of them as a bike messenger, lived in Paris, upstate New York, San Francisco, and now Carmel.
You lived in Paris?
I did.
How long?
It was about a year.
What made you go to Europe?
I fell in love with Paris when I went on vacation there, so I had to get more I needed more.
And then, okay, and then you went around the states a little bit and you finally settled in California in 96?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that a specific city or did you try a few cities out?
You mean before I came to Carmel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in San Francisco, Oakland, and Berkeley, and then I came here.
What makes Carmel your final destination, so to speak?
Because of the people that had the resources to buy my artwork.
Oh, okay. I see. So you're an artist also?
I am. Yeah,
What
I
kind of
do.
art?
Stained glass.
Oh, that's like almost a lost art.
Well, not for me, it's not.
Not for you, but you know, the people who did that back in the day, that's very tedious work. You got to like do a lot of metal shaping and glass
Oh, I
shaping,
know.
painting, right?
Oh, yeah. But I've been thinking a lot about this, that I basically construct complex jigsaw puzzles on the workbench.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of trained me to be able to do it in the abstract with the law.
Mm-hmm. Stained glass is really it's really cool to look at. You can really like look at it and just the intricacies and you can like get the whole picture and especially if it's done really nice. How long does it take to do a stained glass window, let's say?
I just did one for a big hotel here, and that was about 20 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
And from the time I started building it in the jig in the corner until it was completely done, I think I worked 10 to, no, pardon me, it was 14 to 16 hours a day. And the whole thing took me 10 days to build, but that was a restore. So I had all the pieces. I just had to put them back together in the puzzle and make a few more. And then I had to solder, clean it, putty it, and then buff it out. So the whole thing probably took me 3 weeks. But I had to get the matching glass before, and that was quite a project. So
Why 14 hours a day? You just that dedicated? You that strong-minded? Why 14 hours a day? Was there a deadline?
because once I get started on something, I don't stop until it's done. And I really enjoy watching it continue to grow in
That's a
front of
great
me.
attribute to have.
Pardon me?
I said that's a great attribute to have because a lot of us will just get going on something and then like, oh God, I don't want.
Yeah, I do that. I do that. Yeah, that happens.
All right, so artist from New Jersey has been to Europe, been around the States, and finally landed in Carmel. Is it Carmel or Carmel by the Sea?
Carmel. It's Carmel.
Carmel by the Sea.
Hmm.
That's the full name of the city.
That's right. Yep.
How many people live there?
Oh, it's small. I think it's like, I don't know, 5,000 maybe.
And what would you say the political culture is in that area?
It's pretty left wing.
Would you consider yourself left wing?
Pardon me?
Would you consider yourself left wing?
I don't have a political
Oh, good.
affiliation.
All right.
So,
Is that thing you're wearing, is that the Palestinian thing or is that just a scarf?
oh, no, it's just a scarf.
I wouldn't mind either way. I'm just asking. All right,
Yeah,
so here we are at Carmel by the Sea, California. You lived there since 96, so 20 some years later, COVID comes out, right?
that's right.
Which was basically, we can't even say that stuff, created by you know who. Anyway,
Hmm.
should we watch some video and you have me pause it or you want to tell a story? What do you think?
Let me give a lead in.
Sure.
Okay. It was July, and I was getting increasingly irritated, isn't even really the right word. I was seething at what I've seen the government do. And this bizarre tyrannical tendency that started coming out in my neighbors and the shops and the supermarkets, but I hadn't been doing anything. And I had no intention of walking out onto the beach that day. And I called the police department 3 hours in advance, and I called the city manager a week in advance. And I tried to talk both of them out of it. And the one guy that arrested me, Greg
Out of
Johnson.
closing the beach down, you mean?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
This is after the mayor said we welcome people to come to the beach, or before? Give me that timeline there.
So they announced on June 17th that the great outdoors were always open and we're not going to close the beach for the 4th of July. So please come. So they lured all these people from around the country to the hotels and the shops and the restaurants. And then he made an announcement. It was a week before that they were going to quote unquote close it like it's a shop.
Right.
And then he announced that it wasn't that morning. I thought it was that morning. It was July 2nd in the evening that nobody was going to be allowed on the beach. And it was from the sage advice from the chief of police in order to keep the community safe. So I called Greg Johnson. He's one of the guys on my lawsuit. And I told him he had a duty to stand up to this and to protect the women and children. And he said, I have nothing to do with it. Call City Hall. I said, I've already called City Hall and they're not responding. So he wrote that in his police report and he called me a subject, which I think is a very interesting word to use to describe us.
Exactly.
I spoke with the subject and she called to express her disagreement with the closure of the beach. She said it was her God-given right to walk in nature and against proper morals to close it. So, and, you know, I saw on your live stream, and I know I already posted this, but I didn't know that guy.
Right. I made a mistake. I thought you were related to the guy walking on the beach.
No, but it was interesting that nobody else defied that. I don't call it a closure. It was a siege.
Sure.
They laid siege to a part of the coast.
Yes, they did.
Nobody else defied it that entire weekend except myself and this other tourist. And we both walked on two perpendicular lines and came to a point on the beach. And I was going to do whatever it took to stand up to this, no matter what. The fact that nobody would join me and they, I'd called to them, to the crowd. And I said, the beach is a gift from God. We have to go down there and stop this. The state doesn't own it. And I need the men to come with me. And not only did none of them join me, but they laughed at me on the way out there and they told me have fun being arrested.
Right. How many men we talk? Well, men in quotes. How many men we talking about?
In that, there was probably, 7 or 8 in that one section where
they thought it was funny that you went out there, risked your freedom while they sat back and laughed. Like, there's things I can't say on YouTube. Like, okay, go on. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, it was really, I was seething. So I went out there and I knew that they had tackled the tourist into the water, but I went back out there anyway. And then they believed he was my husband, but because he kept saying, you need to help us to get your husband out of the water. And I didn't say one way or the other. And then after he was in the police vehicle soaking wet, then Greg Johnson and Joseph Boucher, who has the namesake on my lawsuit, they said, your husband left us no choice. We had to go into the water to get him. And I said, you always have choice.
Right.
And then they took my purse off my shoulder and they started digging around in my clothes and my phone and my purse. And I know that people get arrested thousands of times a day in this country, but I have been livid ever since because I don't like people touching me.
Or going through your stuff. And cops, that's what cops do immediately. And then they blame you because they have the RAPIST mentality. I say it all the time. He left us no choice. Why wasn't one of your choices adhering to the oath you took and let people be free to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. Why isn't that a choice?
Right. And they, you know, the whole idea that they did it because they were trying to keep us safe. Well, first of all, it's none of their business.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah. And secondly, the fact that they had a 3-man dog pile
Mm-hmm.
on the tourist. And then they stood within 6 inches of me with their grubby paws all over my clothes and my skin.
No masks.
Boucher wasn't wearing a mask. Then I was taken to the police department. And this is one of the other reasons that I've been furious, is because the Carmel by the Sea police in the back parking lot, when they had Jay and I in the car, they were giddy. It was very exciting that they had caught 2 slaves, and they had the opportunity to just keep molesting us and abusing us. And then they call it searched, but when you have a stranger touching you and taking your belt off, you're getting molested
For no good reason
for no good reason. Yeah,
and not voluntary.
no. And
Right.
so I got searched again a second time. And then Boucher put the 2 of us in the car and he took us out to the jail, and they forced me to surrender my temperature because I didn't want to give up my temperature. And then I had some other chick molest me in the intake room. And it's a big joke.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah. And so then I went to get the body camera footage 6 months later at the police department, and Boucher came out with his partner, Joel Baldonado, and they claimed they had a warrant, but it wasn't a warrant. I call it an instrument of human trafficking
When you went,
because
when you said when you went to complain or get body cam footage, same cop who arrested you came out again, and you, what did he have that you're, what are you calling it? Say it again.
I call them, and I call these warrants that they issue around the country, like, they're giving out candy. I call them instruments of human trafficking.
And what's the warrant for?
It was because I, quote unquote, failed to appear for court because they charged me with entering a disaster area.
Okay.
And then when Johnson went into my purse, he found a can of bear mace,
Oh
and they
no.
charged, pardon?
I said, oh no. Go on. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's okay. And they charged me with possessing and selling a tear gas weapon.
Selling
Yeah,
to who?
that's right. And I was facing up to a year in jail for both
Okay.
of those charges. So I rescinded my signature on it's a notice of appearance that they make you sign before they'll release you from a cage.
Yeah.
And I took a deep dive into the penal codes that attach to the notice of appearance. And I revoked and rescinded my signature on that notice of appearance, so I didn't go to court. Because
Tell me how you revoked and rescinded your signature on the notice of to appear.
I signed across the notice of appearance. I revoked my signature and I do not consent to your offer to contract Theresa Buccola.
So
Okay.
you're so you originally signed something, and then over the top you just overlaid what you just said.
Yeah, because what they do before they'll release you in jail is that they force you to enter into a contract.
That's right. And that
And
notice to appear is a contract, and they make it sound like you have to sign it mandatorily, and they've gotten to the point where they'll just hold you longer until you and it's not it's not it might be a contract, but it's not a legitimate contract because you don't have two voluntary parties. So you got one
correct.
party using threat, duress, and coercion to force you to sign something against your will in order for you to be free. That's quid
That's
pro
right.
quo, right?
That's right.
Okay.
So I didn't know as much when I signed that notice of appearance as I do now,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that's what got me out of the criminal charges.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, that's well, it's not. They don't. It's not really choice. They say either we can release you from the dungeon now, and we're going to get your fingerprints, your handprints, your mugshot, and your signature, which are all your private property, right? Then, and I think that the whole custom that they have of logging your fingerprints and your handprints for Monterey County, they enter it into a permanent criminal history record.
Yep.
Before you've been taken before a judge,
Yeah.
before you've been brought before a jury of your peers, and
Yep.
now they have, snowflakes is kind of an overused word, but all of our fingerprints are unique to us, right? So they don't have any right to take those and enter them into their booking process. So they'll tell you, okay, you either give us these things now and you sign this contract, or you might stay in here for another 3 to 4 days. So that's not a choice. I can't enter into that contract voluntarily.
Coercion.
It's coercion. Yeah. And duress, right?
Yes.
Threats, duress, and coercion.
That's right.
So I didn't show up to court.
You didn't show up to court after revoking, right?
That's right.
Okay, go on.
Okay. And what was really interesting was I got the recording from the court on July 21st of 2020. And there was no affidavit attached to this quote unquote warrant. There was no timestamp on it. It has been signed by a deputy clerk. It has to be signed by one with judicial authority. There's a host of problems. That's why I don't call them warrants. So I heard the judge when she said, it should be noted here that Ms. Buccola said that she did not, the one thing that she left off, she said she revokes her signature, but what she did not read off into the record was she does not consent to this offer to contract.
That was overlaid on the thing you signed, right?
That was across the notice of appearance, but
And
she left.
Who's saying this out loud? The judge?
The judge.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so she said Ms. Buccola revokes her signature, but what she left off was she does not consent to this offer to contract.
Right.
So I thought that was significant.
It sounds like it. Why would you leave that part out? They don't want to hear that part. That's why.
That's right. Yeah.
Go on.
Okay, so then I went to the police department 6 months later because they said they wouldn't mail the body camera footage to me. I couldn't send a friend to pick it up. I had to go personally to get it. And then Boucher and Maldonado came out and they said they had a warrant. And I said, it's defective. It's been signed by a deputy clerk. It doesn't have any authority. You can't arrest me on a defective warrant. And he said, well, you've got a choice. You can either go to jail or sign this other contract.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, you're not going to do either. And then he grabbed me with Maldonado and they dragged me to the ground. And the two of them jumped on top on my back. He put his knee in my back. And then they both twisted my arms up behind my back. And I screamed and they put handcuffs on me, dragged me inside, and they pushed me up against the wall and told me to stop resisting, like they're wanting to do. What was that?
Were you resisting at all?
No, I was not.
Go on.
And then they did my handcuffs. They stole my purse. Then he took me out to the police vehicle, and I was yelling for my friends because they were in the front of the police department. And he kneed the back of my leg into the police vehicle while I was handcuffed. And he said, you forced me to do that. I didn't want to do that.
Then, forced you to do that how? By speaking?
He forced me to do that, yeah.
How so? Because you dared to speak?
Well, because I wasn't getting in the vehicle fast enough.
Oh, so, I see.
Yeah.
You're the problem, not them. Got it.
Right.
Go on.
Right. And then Maldonado took me to jail. he activates and deactivates and mutes his body camera the entire time. Then they took me into the intake room, and I think it was 3 deputies that were putting their hands all over me. Actually, Maldonado started to disrobe me in the intake room. His body camera is not on. Okay. So he'd taken my scarf off, and I finally got the video surveillance footage of the intake room, and I still can't watch it.
Okay.
It's so traumatizing that I've got 3, or it might be 4, 3 deputies in Maldonado have me pinned up against the wall. They're picking stuff out of my hair. They're making jokes at my expense. And then they took me into the nurse's room, and I thought it was 3 of them. It was only 2. They immobilized me in the chair. They were laughing at me. They took my Maldonado, stole my temperature. I told him I didn't want my temperature taken. And this was out in the police vehicle. So he came around the door and he climbed into the police vehicle, because I turned my head in, and he grabbed my ponytail and he yanked my head back and pointed that thermometer at my head. And then with the 2 deputies in the intake room, after they immobilized me, they took my blood pressure, oxygen levels. I don't even know what they got. And then I spent 24 hours in the jail, in the dungeon.
And this is for what again?
Entering a disaster area.
And it's because you revoked your signature the first time? They did another warrant, or is this the same warrant?
No, it's just the one instrument.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So then they released me 24 hours later, and I tried to go back to court twice, and they kept playing more shenanigans that I got another one of these instruments issued for my arrest. I think it was 2. And it took me 3 years of dedicated study to figure out how to unwind from this, because I didn't want to hire an attorney. I tried to get injunctive relief from the federal court because I filed the lawsuit, and that was denied. And I just tried one thing after the other. I was told to take a plea deal. I was told it's nearly impossible to get these charges dismissed. And then I spent 2 months researching a writ, and I wound up writing a writ of mandate.
Tell me what that is, please.
It was a writ of mandate and or prohibition or other appropriate relief. And that is when you try to appeal to one of the higher courts above they're called inferior tribunals or the superior courts, and say, hey, they're violating my rights in the lower court. You need to do something. You have to mandate. Pardon?
You're trying to get a higher court to interject by writing them a letter.
That's right. Well, a writ.
Okay.
A writ.
What does writ mean?
A writ is a particular type of document. It's like the writ of habeas corpus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when you try to get a court to do something, to release you from prison, to get your charges dismissed, one of those things. Okay. So I took 2 months and took a really dense dive into how the courts operate. And I discovered that it's all contract.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like commercial contract almost.
Commercial contract.
Yep.
Law is contract. Contract is law.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about consent and offers to contract.
But they put up the facade that it's not consensual because they use it's 99% intimidation. If they're all working together and they say it's the thing, regardless of what reality is. And that's kind of where we're stuck at in 2025. But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I took 2 months, and that was not including the 3 years or something until that point. And I compiled this writ of mandate. and it was 39 pages long, where I dissected the penal codes. It was 853.6 and 853.9, and it's 853.9. 853.6 defines what a notice of appearance is.
Okay.
And then 853.9 says that, and that's when they say, okay, well, either you sign this notice of appearance or we're taking you to jail, or you're in jail, and they say either you sign this notice or you're going to stay in jail. Okay.
Mhm.
If you go to 853.9, that says the notice of appearance is used in lieu of a verified complaint.
Yeah.
Meaning that that penal code has now turned us into witnesses against ourselves.
Right. Let's repeat that, please. Let's go back like 30 seconds. Start there.
853.6 defines what the notice of appearance is.
Okay, so a notice of appearance is
That you it's a notice of promise to appear. Maybe it's a promise to appear.
in other words, there's no victim, there's no damages, there's no trespass, there's no endangering of the public, so to speak, and there's no articulable facts that could prove you did any of them things. So they just replace it with this contract, and they make it seem like it's mandatory, but it's not. Am I getting that kind of right?
Well, when you're in the position where they're saying either we're going to cuff you like livestock and
Mm-hmm.
take you to get molested again and steal your fingerprints, at that point it is mandatory. But
Through force, no, not through force, not legitimacy.
no, it can't be defined as a binding contract. It has
Right.
to be two willing parties. Okay, so 853.6 defines what the notice of appearance is. And then 853.9 says that the notice of appearance is used in lieu of a verified complaint.
In other words, there's no victim, no damages, no endangerment, no trespassing. So they're using this in lieu. In other words, instead of a legitimate complaint, victim, something, they're just using this contract to get you to agree to jump into their kangaroo court.
Yeah, exactly.
And more people think they have to. Well, they have to by force, but not by law.
Right.
Okay, go on.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So I took out the definitions of promissory note from Black's law. I found a bunch of cases where they cannot threaten you with criminal prosecution in order to get you to enter into a binding contract.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, like I said, 39 pages. I had 100 pages worth of exhibits. And then I filed that in the appellate superior in Monterey County.
Mm-hmm.
And then they denied it. Okay, so I have I've left in my wake nothing but failures, trying to get these criminal charges dismissed.
Yeah.
And okay, I thought, okay, I'm going back into court. And if they're going to arrest me, they're going to arrest me, because I had an open lawsuit at the time with these warrants outstanding and the criminal charges. And I risked going to a hearing in the court and being arrested again.
For what this time?
For the outstanding warrants.
Are we talking about 3 arrests now? 1 on the beach, 1 when you went to get camera footage?
I have 2 so far. I thought I may be arrested a 3rd time.
All right.
Okay. So when I went back into the Superior Court.
Okay.
And I went there with a friend of mine, and I faced the same judge that had played shenanigans a couple of years before. And he threatened me a number of times. And he said, I just want to make sure that you understand your situation, Ms. Buccola. There are warrants out for your arrest, and you could be taken into custody right now. I think he threatened me. It was at least twice. It might have been 3 times. And then he said to the prosecutor, Ms. Bordeaux, are you appearing on this matter? She said, I am, Your Honor. Okay, so she said nothing. He introduced her. She didn't interject. Okay. Then I said just a few words out of the writ of mandate. And he said, okay, well, you requested a public defender the last time you were here. And I said, objection. You offered that the matter would be recalled if I filled out your form for a public defender, and I did not consent to your offer. And then boom, that was it. The prosecutor interrupted me mid-sentence. And she said, Your Honor, I think I have some information here that might save the court a lot of time. We're going to dismiss the charges against Ms. Buccola. I swear, I still, every time I think about it, it's like they were talking inside of a drum.
So what do you mean by recall? If you signed what? The paper to deny the public defender?
No, when I was there the previous time, he offered, okay, fill out the form for the public defender. And then once the form is filled out, I will recall your case.
Recall? In other words, start it up again?
Yeah.
So, but you declined the public defender.
I left.
Okay, so which is the same thing as declining. You obviously didn't want one.
Yeah.
And you come back the next time. The prosecutor has nothing to say. When he comes back to you, you said what again? Because I want to understand this really well.
I said, objection. You offered that the matter would be recalled if I filled out the form for a public defender, and I did not consent to your offer.
So there's nothing to recall. Is that where I'm getting at?
Not sure.
I'm not understanding.
Okay, so you can recall warrants or dismiss charges.
So you didn't recall.
Let me take it back. I don't know if he said recall. He said, I'm going to call the matter. Okay, so I'm there in 2021. And he says, because I'm not giving him satisfaction, I won't answer anything he's asking me. So he said, okay, I'm going to give you the form. You fill it out for the public defender, and then I'm going to call the matter again, right? Okay. So I didn't do that. I left. Then he issued these warrants. Okay. Then it takes me 2 years or something, and I come back and facing the same judge.
Okay.
And he's saying, do you understand? There's warrants out for your arrest, and we have to deal with that because I could take you into custody. Okay. And he said, you agreed to the public defender. And I said, objection. You offered that if I filled out the form, and I did not consent to your offer.
Okay.
Okay. Is that clear?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm a little slow.
Okay. It's okay. And then the prosecutor interrupted me, and she said, we're going to dismiss the charges against Ms. Buccola. And he said, do you have any objection to the charges being dismissed? Like, no objection. No.
Now, what would make her do that?
Okay, I only have theories.
Okay, that's what I want to hear. What's the theory on why she would automatically dismiss the charge just because you didn't take a public defender?
It could be that I filed a bar grievance on the DA a few days before. It could have been that I struck a nerve with what I discovered in that research with the writ. I think another part could be that there's some sort of that when you don't give up and you're devoted to something, that eventually your opponents will have to yield.
Because they don't want to, because they want you to shear you real quick and get you through the shearing.
Yeah.
And when they run into a giant speed bump like you, they're going to be spinning their wheels, doing a lot of paperwork and fighting hard. And they realize you're not no dummy. So they're like, all right, we're going to take the loss on this one.
And, here's another theory. Because he threatened me twice. And in the moment, I thought I was going back to jail. But I was prepared to go because I wasn't going to yield.
Right. Right.
And I think there's also power in that. And it's possible that they talked about it before and they said, okay, let's give it one more shot because this crazy bitch is not, she's not stopping. So let's see if we can threaten her one more time.
Mm-hmm.
And if she doesn't bend, then we're going to have to concede. Or, another theory is
They don't
that,
want, but they also, what about the theory that also, besides all the work they have to do for a case that, for what now, walking on a beach? And they're going to have to tell a jury that you're some super criminal for walking on the beach and all the things you're going to expose along the way that they don't want other people knowing is my
right?
opinion.
That is another theory I've had and my friends and I have had. But in Santa Cruz, they have been viciously pursuing people that were standing on beaches.
Mm-hmm.
And
People without your capabilities, though, that's the main part, is that you have that fire inside you that most Americans don't.
yes, and that is possible that that's one of the reasons that they didn't want it to go to a jury, because they didn't want my knowledge to be exposed to the community.
100%.
And at the time, I was suing Monterey County for malicious prosecution.
Okay. Now, when you say
So
the case got dismissed, we're talking about the case of you going on the beach and what else?
the selling of the tear gas.
Oh, yeah, that you were selling the bear mace you had in your purse that you use for self-defense, right?
Yeah. And I also
No,
discovered that was
Are
also,
you are you free and clear at that point of anything over your head?
that's right.
Now's when you, well, not now, but you were already, and now you dug deeper into the legal kangaroo land and found out a lot of things since then, because it's just because they dismiss it doesn't mean you're like, oh, not the da back. No, you were still done wrong and people need to pay, right?
Yes.
Okay, go on. I'm
And
sorry.
the lawsuit at that point, let's see. So I filed the lawsuit in 2022. I tried to get injunctive relief from my cheating federal judge, and he denied it.
Tell me what injunctive relief is. Injunctive relief from who?
From the federal court, where you
Okay.
say it's the same thing as like the writ of mandate,
Okay.
where I say, okay, the lower court did all this stuff wrong. The warrant had all these defects. There was no, disaster area.
Right.
And then you say, can I get relief from the federal court?
Okay. Relief from what? But your case is already dismissed, or is this before it was dismissed?
No, it was before.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so I filed the lawsuit in 2022 with outstanding criminal charges
Against who?
that they had against me.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so those three were still outstanding.
All right.
I try to get relief from the federal court. They deny it.
Mm-hmm. On what grounds?
I mean, it's not proper. It violates this
Okay. Yeah.
doctrine. It's some
Okay.
nonsense.
All right.
Okay. Which he actually shouldn't have done.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a sidestep for a second.
Go ahead.
The two oppositions that were filed against my motion. Okay. So if people don't know this, in court, when you file a motion, that means you're moving the court. And then your opponents get to file motions to dismiss or, oppositions or replies where they try to negate your motion. So they're trying to stop you from moving the court.
Counter
Okay.
move.
It's a counter move. All right. So the two counter moves that were filed against my injunctive relief, one was filed by an attorney. He was my main attorney that was defending 6 of the guys, Boucher and Maldonado, that threw me on the ground, Carmel for betraying their people, and Johnson and the chief of police. Okay, so 6 defendants.
Mm-hmm.
He had filed, I think it was 22 documents. He tried to make 2 appearances into my case. And in March of 2024, I figured out that not only had he failed to appear, so you have to appear as an attorney, you have to say, I am formally appearing on behalf of blah, blah, blah. But I also discovered that he had been practicing law outside jurisdiction for the entirety of my case.
He wasn't a lawyer yet, right? Or when
He
he
was
was
a
a lawyer, but
lawyer.
not in that jurisdiction.
That's right. Okay.
There's two people like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Okay. But let me discuss the opposition that they filed for the injunctive relief. Okay.
Sure.
That was filed by that attorney, Jonathan Redford, and he didn't have the authority to attach a paperclip to my case. Okay. So that rules that one out, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other one was filed by an attorney, and she said, I swear under penalty of perjury. Okay, so they're trying to keep me in the lower court. They want my charges to stand. I'm a criminal. Okay,
Yeah.
so this other attorney, Susan K. Blitch, she files her countermove, and she says, I swear under penalty of perjury that I am an attorney of record for Monterey, Susan K. Blitch, except
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't. She was not an attorney of record.
Right. She wasn't an attorney in that jurisdiction either. Was she an attorney at all?
She was an attorney.
Just not in that jurisdiction.
She could practice law in that court, but she was not an attorney of record.
Okay, so it's a different categorization.
She had not filed her notice of appearance. Okay. So, but he denied my motion. When
Against illegitimate counter moves made by illegitimate attorneys.
That's right.
All right.
And that's just a fraction of what I have caught this judge doing in my case.
Has he been the same judge the whole time?
The whole time. He's actually a magistrate. He's not a proper judge. Okay. He's lower.
Okay.
All right. Judge Cousins is his name. Okay. That's a tiny fraction.
He's a lawyer acting as a magistrate capacity from time to time.
Yes. He's acting like co-counsel for the defendants.
All right.
Okay. All right. So he denies the injunctive relief. Then I asked for him to close the case down, my lawsuit, until I can figure out how to get these charges dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I wrote the writ of mandate. That's when I went back into the lower court. And then that's when I finally got all that crap thrown out. And then I filed a document into the case, and I was like, hey, everybody, I did it, and I'm back in the game. We need to reopen the case.
Reopen what case? Not yours. Just
The lawsuit.
A new case. Yeah, okay. A lawsuit.
Reopen the lawsuit.
This is Title 42 lawsuit, right?
That's right.
All right, go on.
Yeah. Okay. So I figured out that Jonathan Redford was practicing law outside jurisdiction for the entirety of my case. Okay. So I file a motion, two motions, where I try to get all his documents stricken from the record and his appearances, because he didn't have the authority to do that. Okay. I filed that motion on March 20th. The judge did not order him withdrawn, didn't order him disbarred, didn't order him sanctioned. He granted his motion, Redford's motion, 2 days later.
The invalid motion created by invalid attorney practicing outside of his jurisdiction, the judge let him go and violate the law, basically.
Well, he violated the rules, his own local rules. Okay. Yeah. And not only that, but he took pot shots at me.
The judge.
The judge did.
Saying?
And he said that my claims of harm were specious, which means deceptive. He said I was trying to deceive the court. And he had another snide yeah. Oh, dude, it's been a wild ride. Okay, so his firm, Carpenter, Rothmans, and Dumont, withdraws Redford from the case. Then I find out that Redford lost his 20-year partnership in the firm. So,
do you know why?
Because of his major F up.
Okay, go on.
Okay. So he, in essence, lost the case for them. Okay. So he's got to run with his tail between his legs from an untrained woman pro se litigant. All right. So he was with that Carpenter Rothins for 20 years. Okay. So they say he retired. He didn't retire. It was another lie. I don't know if he left or they fired him. All right. So they withdraw him on April 2nd, 2024. They replace him with 2 attorneys. One attorney makes the identical error. She forgets to become admitted to practice law in that court as well.
How? Is it because they just been doing it this way for so many years? Is that the thing? Is that
I
the
have
idea?
no, I have no idea how this quote unquote reputable firm could make such a blistering error, not once,
Right.
but twice.
Right. Same
Okay.
firm.
Same firm.
Wow.
Same firm. Okay. So I discovered that in August. I reported that in a judicial notice. And the judge said, well, it's like a really mild sanction. He admonished her. And then I filed a
Ooh.
document. I said, that's not enough.
No.
No, she should be sanctioned. She should be disbarred. She's a judge advocate general.
What about contempt? Like they threaten with us every time with jail time.
That's contempt of court. Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
So what winds up happening is that Redford, because my judge keeps blowing this off. He blows it off for months. No matter how many times I bring up Redford, he'll either ignore me or he'll take pot shots at me about it, but I wouldn't let it go. And then he ordered Redford to submit a declaration into my case, trying to explain how he could make such a monumental error. And rather than unwinding him from his mistake, it got him referred over to the Standards Committee on Professional Conduct. So he's now being investigated. And then the second attorney has gotten the entire firm to be referred over to the Standards Committee, and they're being investigated.
That's wonderful.
I know.
Good for
I know.
you. They're real tough on the beach, but not in the courtroom, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And so it's been a year where no matter what points I raise to the judge, no matter what local rules I find them violating, federal rules of civil procedure, rules of evidence, California government codes, California penal codes. It doesn't matter what I throw at him. He keeps dodging it. So
I'm sorry, but why does the judge get to keep doing that? There's no recourse against him for ignoring the rules himself?
I filed a complaint on him a month ago. I don't know what's happened with it.
Okay.
But it's been infuriating. Sure. Because first you get abused by the idiot, kind of the more brutal arm of tyranny. And then the judges work with them to allow them to do it.
Right. Right. That seems like every court to me, honestly.
I thought, it's one if it's like the inferior tribunal in Oklahoma, but it's another when it's a federal court in Silicon Valley. Right. And I think it's been probably pretty irritating for them that I'm like a pit bull on a bone. And I think they've gotten into really bad habits.
Yes.
And it's become sort of rote to them to violate their own local rules and all these other rules. And I keep picking at all of them. And I think their heads are kind of spun out. I should also say that I uncovered so much tampering, a mountain of tampering with evidence.
What
That
kind?
Pardon?
What kind of tampering? Like what specifically?
I reported it in a judicial notice in June that all the body camera and dash cam footage that I received from Carmel had tampered with times.
Oh.
And sometimes they even had the wrong time and date. Okay,
So what? They ran it through editing software and forgot to dot their I's and cross their T's with the timestamps.
I don't know what they did.
Okay.
Because I'm not tech savvy. Okay. But I included screenshots of the wrong dates and times. They destroyed. Oh, can you stop it right there? Okay. Yeah. On that photo, I have been asking for the body camera footage of this assault. In January 2021, I asked for it again, February 24th, 2021, August 16th, and August 27th. Then I had a lawful notification delivered to the chief of police to preserve all my evidence. That would include this. Okay. All the body camera footage of this arrest has been destroyed.
Intentionally.
All of it. All of it. And one of the guys that's doing the tackling there, Jacob Clifford, his was destroyed 9 days after I filed my lawsuit.
Right.
Okay, so I reported that. I reported that Monterey County, as a matter of policy, destroys our routine video recordings outside California law. I cited the government code for that. They destroyed all my video surveillance footage from my first arrest, all their nurse's office, that footage from the second arrest, nothing from my jail cells, even though I've been asking for it since January of 2021. Okay, so it's body camera, video surveillance footage. Half of them weren't wearing their body cameras. Johnson and Maldonado activated, deactivated, and muted and unmuted their body cameras throughout my entire arrest. So I reported this in a judicial notice in June. And not only did he do nothing about it, but he threatened me with sanctions for reporting it.
All right. We're getting up on an hour. Let me ask you a couple quick questions and then I'll take a smoke break if you don't mind.
No problem.
So do you know this guy now that was on the beach, right?
You mean the three? Oh, I do. Uh-huh.
And have you been in contact with him since this happened? I'm assuming you became friends.
We were in contact for a period of time and he took a plea deal.
Okay. We'll get back to the plea deal. But my question was, and I think this is where he was going with it. Correct me if I'm wrong or if you know. He said, I'm not walking on the beach. I'm walking in the surf. And I know that's a legal threshold there, the surf versus the beach, because there's some in Florida, there's bars that are up on the beach and they try to claim ownership to the beach. But if you pull up in the ocean, like with a jet ski, and you just stay on the surf, you're not on the beach. And is that the angle he was taking there, that he's not on the beach, he's in the surf?
I don't think he knew that at the time. I'm fairly certain they said that you could be in the water, but you couldn't be on the beach.
So he's in the surf, he's in the water.
He's in the water. And so it is below, it's like the high water mark of their mean tide line. It's the mean tide line.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're below the mean tide line, then he was definitely not in their jurisdiction. And I was standing on wet sand, so I don't think I was either. And I don't know if that's the same on the East Coast as it is for us on the West Coast.
Okay, so let's take a 5-6 minute break, and I'll let this play in the meantime, okay?
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'll just start it from the beginning, and we'll be back in just a few minutes, everyone. Stay tuned, okay? Thanks, Theresa.
Okay, sure. I'm going to walk the country through a mere fraction of what has happened in federal litigation in the Northern District Court of California, particularly in discovery, after I filed a lawsuit pro se in June of 2022 for the despicable siege of Carmel Beach, which is a screenshot of what we're looking at here. And let me tell you, just batten down the hatches because you are in for one hell of a ride. This was a judicial notice I filed in the court in June of 2024, 6 months ago at ECF 198. And it goes into explicit detail regarding all the evidence tampering, concealment, and destruction of discovery we, the people, were always entitled to obtain. Donnell Mario, the troglodyte that put her hands on me and removed my belt, wasn't wearing her body camera in violation of the police department's own policies at 450.5 that they must be worn at all times during investigative contact, and 450.5.2 that they must be kept running the entire time. Officer Boucher wasn't wearing his body camera either. The video surveillance footage from the back parking lot was never created. Officer Johnson activated and deactivated his body camera throughout my entire arrest, and the footage which would have shown the man getting slammed into the surf was blurred and tampered with and cuts off at some point just before that man is attacked. I have been attempting to receive this cell phone footage from Carmel since August of 2021, and the second troglodyte we see here, Lisa Johnson, where the lobby camera footage of my second arrest shows her recording with that cell phone for a sustained 4 minutes, but what they sent to me in discovery was all of 16 seconds long, having clearly been tampered with, and their attorney responded by saying, oh yeah, that's all they sent to us. Officer Maldonado activated and deactivated his body camera throughout my entire arrest. During my second arrest, Chief of Police Paul Tomasi isn't wearing his body camera either. Lisa Johnson isn't wearing her body camera either. When Gerald Maldonado drove me to jail, I refused to allow my temperature to be taken, so I turned my head into the car, but he reached in to yank my head back by my hair so he could steal it anyway. The backseat camera footage ends right here, so they tampered with it just enough to edit that theft out. All the body camera footage sent to me, all of it, has been tampered with, which we're going to look at in a moment. Now, we'll have a look at Monterey County. I have been asking for the video surveillance footage of my arrest since January of 2021. I sent them an email again on July 22nd that I still hadn't received them. I sent a lawful notification on July 30th that if they didn't disclose them to me within 3 days, they would be included on an upcoming lawsuit. For my second arrest on February 26th, I requested the footage when a bunch of knuckle-dragging sheriff's deputies held me down in a chair and snickered as they attached things to my body and stole some of my readings and my jail cell footage from my second arrest. On August 13th, I told them they were required to preserve all the footage of both arrests. In 2021, the Monterey County Sheriff's Department sent me one response after the other, about how they were in the process of collecting the records which may be responsive to your request, until, after bullshitting me for 7 months, told me I could go fuck myself because they weren't going to disclose any of it. Until, in federal litigation with the help of their pathetic attorney, Sam Beaterwell, they informed me that all the video evidence from my first arrest, all of it, the nurse's office, the room where you get molested, the garage, the jail cell, the booking room, the hallway, all of it, and the footage from the nurse's office and my jail cell from the second arrest were destroyed anyway. And everything I just showed you was entered into my case as exhibits and brought to the Northern District Court's attention in February of 2024. Then Carmel, the footage which points out the front windshield of when Boucher stuck his hands down my pants, was destroyed. Despite the fact that I asked for this footage 5 times in 2021, and I'll upload all those requests in another video along with a lawful notification delivered to the Chief of Police on June 25th of 2021 and repeated demands and emails to preserve it, with the full knowledge that litigation was imminent. The 2 other body cameras, other than Greg Johnson's, which we already showed was tampered with, that of Corporal or Detective or whatever these guys were, Michael Bruno and Jacob Clifford, were destroyed. Even in their own policy, 377.5, gives them clear instructions that if the recordings are evidence in any claim filed or any pending litigation, which there was, my lawsuit was filed in June of 2022, so it wasn't pending litigation, but active, they shall be preserved until pending litigation is resolved. This dovetails not only with California Government Code 34090.6, but the second footnote from Carmel's own retention schedule, and yet these discovery records were destroyed. All the other body camera footage around the country, all the critical incidents, all the footage of dumb officers implicating themselves in crimes are disclosed or at the very least preserved, but Carmel's all too eager attack on this innocent tourist who was invited to Carmel Beach only weeks before by the city manager, Chip Rehrig, and the mayor, Dave Potter, is gone forever. They thought we were too stupid to care, or maybe that it would hurt tourism, or perhaps lose them their entire case. So Carmel threw them all out in the trash and took them to the dump. Radio dispatch from when all the officers laid siege to Carmel Beach was never created. The call I made to the police department on July 3rd was never created. And maybe in another video I can review as a matter of established policy. Monterey County and the Carmel Police Department have completely disregarded the law regarding when routine video recordings can be destroyed and delegated their destruction to AI when they are required to get the approval of both the government agency and the agency's attorney, which again violates 34090.6. Here's when I asked the city attorney, Brian Pyrick, and John Felix called him a turtle without a shell for the video surveillance footage from when Johnson took my call on July 3rd, 2020. Pirate wrote, the DVD has 2 time periods when Johnson spoke to you. The city believes it contains the video you're requesting. In federal litigation, when the exact same record is requested, they tell me it never existed. Now, let's look at all the incontrovertible proof of evidence tampering, which were entered into the case in the same notice at ECF 198. I was arrested on July 3rd at about 5 p.m. His body camera reads July 4th at, I don't know, what is that, midnight? This one has the wrong date and time because this is approximately 7 o'clock on July 3rd. His footage reads July 4th at 1:15 a.m. And another one, and this one, where you can clearly see Maldonado's watch that it's 11:30 when Boucher's body camera reads 7:30. It is a felony in California for a peace officer to tamper with evidence. It's Penal Code 141B, and it also violates Federal Rule of Civil Procedure 37E. And what I just showed you is a fraction of the destruction, withholding, and tampering of evidence I uncovered, which were all reported to the court. And it began in January of 2024 during a discovery hearing.
All right. Thank you, Reluctant Prophet, for the nice shirt, man. I really appreciate it. Let's bring Theresa back up here. And a lot of that stuff they just watched was what you've been talking about. So where did we leave off? The guy was in the surf. We don't know if he meant that as a legal statement.
Oh, right. Yeah, so he wound up pleading guilty to trespassing.
Okay.
And he paid a fine.
Okay.
And I could not get him to stand with me. And then he moved out of the state.
Okay. So, and you never spoke about the surf thing.
Oh, he did. I said, below the mean, what is it? Mean, I forget what it's called. High watermark, mean tide line. Below the mean tide line. Yeah, that is considered maritime jurisdiction.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were out of their jurisdiction. The cops are out of their jurisdiction. The lawyers are out of their jurisdiction. The judge let it all just, right?
That's right. Yep. And I also caught the attorneys committing 5 felonies during litigation.
Mm-hmm.
They would swear under penalty of perjury that they weren't able to get in touch with me during a certain period of time. Then I would submit the emails into the case that I had been in regular contact with them. And so therefore that was perjury, and he would ignore that. Okay. Then, and it's, did I say it? No, I say it in another video. What did I call it? Oh, it's a tampering with evidence come to the Northern District Court of California, where the records administrator for Monterey swore under penalty of perjury that all my videos had been destroyed by the time I filed my lawsuit. And yet her attorney sent me 5 of those videos 17 months later. And he's the same one that uploaded her declaration into my case. So, and that's called suborning of perjury that the attorney Sam Biederwell committed. So that's 2 felonies right there. That was all in that judicial notice that I submitted not only into my case, but I sent it to the chief judge of that court, Richard Seaborg. And that's the one where I got threatened with sanctions for reporting it.
For reporting a crime they committed?
Yes.
And what kind of sanctions were you threatened with?
He wasn't specific. He said it could appear, I forget exactly how I put it. It could be a sanctionable offense. So it could have been fines but I doubled down because he kept threatening me. Mm-hmm. He kept saying, if you report this again, because I was calling the attorneys interlopers, pretenders, rogue agents, fakes. I had all these cute nicknames for them.
You were telling the truth. You were telling the truth. Is this the judge here on the screen that is doing all this?
That is Richard Seaborg. Yeah, he is the chief judge. They got a copy of that notice.
This is a federal judge?
Yeah. Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. Go on.
And then, so I think it was about August, I was sick to the back teeth of Judge Cousins. And I said, basically, you need to get off the case. I don't want you in here anymore. You're required to get off the case. That's the attorney that claims she was an attorney of record when she wasn't. Okay.
No, she's
So,
quite the specimen.
yeah, that's
Hey,
right.
let me ask. I saw that picture of you. Was that a picture of you in the back of the cop car with like a midriff shirt on?
Don't know. It must have been me. Yeah.
You have that flat a stomach. You're in that good shape.
Well, I don't know about being in good shape. I'm just pretty thin.
Oh, okay. All right, go on.
Yeah. Um, so let's see, Richard C. Okay. So twice it's called recuse. I demanded that he recuse himself off my case.
And why won't he?
Pardon?
Why didn't he?
Okay. Because so he stayed the case for like a week or something, or 2 weeks. And he
Mhm.
said, we're going to bring in another judge to have a look and figure out whether or not I'm being biased. So Judge Casey Pitts entered an order denying recusal into the case. And he said that he had thoroughly investigated the case and found no sign of bias or prejudice under a rock anywhere. And so he was going to let the judge stay on my case. And it's is it in that? It's in that video where I show the order. And even when I read his order was BS.
Right.
He said that she didn't follow the instructions for this code, and he even cites another code. Even his order was BS. I mean, these guys are incapable of writing anything that doesn't further abuse us.
These are fake it till you make it extraordinaires.
That's right. You know, I do have another theory that I didn't finish with the criminal charges. But this is kind of fading. This is a little bit more sort of it's a more positive outlook on the judges,
Okay.
that they are guardians of the mystery schools.
What does that
And
mean?
well, you know, when you used to have to run the gauntlet, you know what running the gauntlet is, right? That they would like beat you over the head, and if
Yeah,
only the bravest
Spartans.
warriors were
The
able to
Spartans.
survive.
Those are my people, the Spartans.
The Spartans, yeah. So one of the theories is they are there to force us to run the gauntlet.
And if you can make it through, maybe they'll let you slide, right?
I think that's it might have been another one of the reasons for why they dropped all my charges, because there's some sort of like a weird cosmic force that says, okay, you've spent this much time on that writ. You tried the injunctive relief. We threatened to, use violence on you again. You're not backing down. Respect, girlfriend. Get out of here. That might be another thing, and that might be another one of the purposes that the judges serve. Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. So
Right.
that might be one of their functions. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit.
I think you are. I think it's more fear that you're going to expose them and show what incompetent POSs they are. Honestly, it's more.
Yeah.
They don't act on respect because they don't respect any of us, man. They really don't. They think they're better than us. They think their shit don't stink. They think they're a higher status than us. We're below them when in fact the political pecking order is the exact opposite. And you showed them who's in charge, and they finally like, all right, dude, this she's not stopping. None of the threats are working. She keeps coming at us. She's doing her own research now. She's making us look dumb. She's exposing that we're fake. We don't have jurisdiction. We're biased. She's trying to get me recused. All right, this ain't worth it. And what were you facing? Like how much time?
I was facing a year in jail.
So look how hard, and then look how hard you made them fight to put you in jail for a year. So put all that together, and they're like, "Oh man, our booty holes puckering now, and this lady's got us on the ropes. Let's just mark this up as an L and move along." All right.
I'm never going to know, but I think that the judges in the Northern District probably do respect me.
Maybe at this point.
In fact, I want to talk about this. So I went up to court. I don't know. I think 2 months ago, and my judge and I saw one another on the street. And he was wearing a civvies. By the way, he is a giant. My judge is like almost 7 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he and I saw one another on the street. And he broke out in a huge, we both did. We both started beaming in a smile when we saw one another. And, not that I'm going to give him any slack for what he's been doing. There he is. That's my judge. It was my judge.
That's Seaborg or Seaborg. What's his name?
No, that is Cousins.
This is a different case. So this is after Seaborg. Well, I'm
But
confused.
no. Chief Richard Seaborg was never on the case. He is like the captain of the whole court.
Okay.
Okay. He never signed anything in the case. That judge, Nathaniel Cousins, was the one that signed all of my orders, and he's the one that I appeared in front of. And
And this
he's
is
the
the
one
one
that
you tried to get recused.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I'd like to, maybe it's just my ego, but I'd like to think at some level they're like, wow, we've never seen a pro se litigant rip us a new one like this before. And maybe, there was something else reason that he was like legitimately happy to see me. And it's amazing. It's amazing.
Okay. I agree. I mean, you, but look what you had to do to earn their respect when they should already have 1,000% respect for you just for paying their paycheck. You shouldn't have to go through what you've gone through. Like you had to become basically a lawyer, a makeshift lawyer, just to earn a little bit of respect from these judges. It's ridiculous what you had to go through. But go on.
Yeah, but we should not be hiring attorneys because, well, first of all, I could have hired incompetent idiots like Jonathan Redford
Mm-hmm.
or Susan K. Blitch or
Mm-hmm.
Sam Biederwell.
Mm-hmm.
No one is going to protect your rights the way that you are.
Exactly.
And I think one of their purposes, attorneys, there's things like corporate law, which you have to study years and years to be able to learn. And, it's like advanced calculus,
Right.
basically. And if
Right.
you're building a business and it's millions of dollars every year, you're going to need an attorney. But if it's criminal charges or lawsuits, we should really be doing this ourselves, because one of the functions that attorneys serve is they're there to pander to our laziness.
Okay. To
Because
get
you
it
think
over with.
get it over with, give it all to somebody else so that you can continue to be a victim. Because then when they don't handle your case properly, where they're doing deals or whatever they're doing behind closed doors, you can continue to complain rather than do something about it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But look at the damage I've been able to do. I got that one guy to lose his partnership.
Wonderful.
His front.
Wonderful. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. I've gotten both he and his entire firm referred over to the standards committee.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm constantly developing new strategies and putting new weapons in my arsenal. And the one that I just figured out a couple of months ago, which is what you covered, and Harvey Freebird, is that now we're going to the city council meetings and confronting them. And
Good.
you can see it on their faces.
Yep.
They're miserable.
Oh yeah, and they hate the fact that they got to sit there and take it. But we know we're doing the same thing in Clearwater over here. You know.
Yeah, I watched them. That was
Okay.
great.
Go on.
I've been wondering, are they just going to wait until somebody sues them to stop them from this policy?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they don't have to by law. They don't have to have a public comment portion on the agenda, so they're not breaking any law. That's the whole problem.
That's a law?
The law in Florida is if they have something on the agenda, you have every right to speak on it, and you have to speak to that specific item. So if they're talking about the local swimming pool Everyone has the right to go up there and say something about the pool. Now, the part of the agenda where it's just open comment and free speech, they don't have to put that on the agenda at all. You see what I'm saying? So
How about people calling in?
There's no call-ins. There's no Skype. There's no Zoom.
Is that because of what happened?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay. Is that because of what happened with Michael Taylor?
Yeah, because he was falsely imprisoned, because they don't know the firearm laws, because they don't know any laws, let's be honest, except disorderly, resisting, obstructing,
Right.
jaywalking, bicycle citations, blinking lights. Outside of those, they don't know Bill of Rights, and they don't care. And and cops pretend to be pro Second Amendment, but anytime they see someone else that's not in their clown costume with a gun, they lose their damn mind. Gun, gun, gun.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. For us in California, it's a 148A1.
Mm-hmm.
That's their go-to. Resisting, obstructing, and delaying a peace officer in the discharge of his duties. That's immediate.
They tried using that 148 on auditors too, but in 148G, since we learned from auditing, you can't use that against someone exercising their First Amendment right.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Yeah. So the guy on the beach took a plea deal. You fought, got your cases dismissed, and now you're suing them under Title 42. And what's going on with that?
I was, until he dismissed the case on October 24th. So that means that he said, okay. So actually, let me give a short backstory. In discovery for lawsuits or charges is when you get all the evidence from the other side that either is going to prove your innocence or it's going to prove that they're guilty. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that notice, I reported all that tampering with my discovery, a bunch of stuff that they withheld, a bunch of records that were false. Mm-hmm. Okay. And he paid that no heed. And then one of the attorneys that tried to replace Redford, Thomas Fay, they kept trying to hold me. All discovery requests came from Jonathan Redford. Okay. Therefore, he had no authority to ask me for any record because he was pretending to practice in that court for the entire time. But his replacement kept trying to get me to disclose these records. And my judge kept ordering me to disclose them. And I kept saying, I'm not disclosing these records because they were all submitted by an interloper, a trespasser in my case. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then he calls another hearing, and I can't wait to figure out how to convert VLC files into movies because I want to get this thing uploaded onto YouTube so that people can hear how I went toe to toe with Cousins and I just tied him up in a knot.
I think I know somebody that can help you with the technical side of stuff.
Yeah, that would be great because I haven't been able to figure out how to do that, but I bought the recording. I can upload it to YouTube, and I want people to hear the interaction that we had because there were a number of times where I so know this case like the back of my hand, and the document numbers and the local rules and the case law, that they're all mapped out in my mind. And I was able to really, a couple of times, leave him completely silent. He just stared at me, mute. Right. Okay, so 22 days after that hearing, he threw my case out because and I swear this is true, wouldn't disclose my diary entries, my journal entries, and my pay stubs to a guy that had no business being in my case. So he dismissed my case. And now I just filed a notice of appeal, and that's pending.
He dismissed your Title 42 lawsuit because you wouldn't give your personal diary entries to him?
That's right. Yep.
Now, is this the same judge?
Yep.
Why is the same judge constantly, like, one case is dismissed, now you got to go back to him again to hope that he holds the other people accountable?
I don't know which judges decide on the notice of appeal. I don't know if it's him, or I don't know if it's the appellate court. I haven't been able to figure that out yet.
Okay.
But yeah, so he ordered, no, it's in another video. It's tampering, what is it called? California District Court judges help those in the big club. And I have, it's a video essay of all the records that he denied me. He denied me their texts on their cell phones while I was in custody. He denied the texts on the council members' phones when they were talking about the siege of the beach. He denied me the dash cam footage when Maldonado drove me to jail. But he ordered me to disclose my entire medical history from 6 months before I was taken into custody until, I don't know when it was, May of 2024. I don't exactly recall. Then he ordered me to undergo a medical and physical examination by a doctor that the attorneys were going to choose for me. And then I was already suing them for 2 forced medical procedures. And he ordered me to undergo a third one. And then he ordered me to disclose all my diary and journal entries on the case and all my social media posts, despite the fact that they have been public for years and they've been available to defendants. But the destruction of that body camera of Jay, not a problem for him. All that video surveillance footage destroyed from my first arrest, not a problem for him. So yeah, it's been illuminating and infuriating what they've been doing in this. It's because it's a righteous, meritorious case.
Righteous, meritorious. So it's true, correct, and good is what you're saying there, right?
Exactly.
Righteous with merit.
That's right. You had no right to touch us when we're walking in the ocean. I mean, are we in North Korea? Is this China? Your Honor?
Right. That really annoys them when you start comparing what they do to people like that, because that's what they're doing.
I know.
Just because you do it with an American flag behind you doesn't make it any different. Reality is reality.
Yeah. And I really only came to with this judge about probably 8 months ago, maybe 10 months, because I was, my friends and I were trying to figure out where he was coming from and what does he mean, and make sure you write your next amended complaint this way. And it was on March 22nd that I dropped off the edge, and then all was revealed, and I started seeing exactly what he had been doing for a long time, which is he obfuscates, and he would send me on wild goose chases to he wanted me to chase these certain things, which had nothing to do with what I was bringing. That's his job, was to confuse me.
That's right.
And then because it wasn't just me, it wasn't just Jay. And it's really, it's the siege of Carmel Beach, but it's the closing of the rest areas, the hiking trails, us getting attacked when we wanted to buy a sandwich somewhere in the supermarket by our neighbors, all those elderly people dying it's that whole thing has been like, this is this is what I chose, because I haven't forgotten what they did.
Right. So your lawsuit is on appeal. Okay. And what else would you like to add to this story? I mean, by the way, everybody, this little interview we're doing is awesome, and she's awesome, but you still need to go see when they went to city council and put a proverbial foot in their ass, because they did wonderful. You guys think I'm good on the stand? She's wonderful, and the people that were with her are wonderful, and they had to sit there and just take it. It's a must see. So please subscribe to Theresa Buccola. Okay, go on.
And we partially read off Jonathan Redford's confession that he was ordered to enter into the case. We read that off to them because I think they have been trying. They have been what's the right word? Concealing information from their clients. I believe the entire lawsuit, because I've been trying to settle with them since last May.
Mm-hmm.
And the attorneys would not communicate that to them.
Okay.
And then so they really wanted to have it on August 1st. And 3 times in emails, we referred to the meeting being in person. Then once it got uploaded into the docket as in person, suddenly they missed those parts in the emails. He didn't read the in person. So he wanted to have a remote appearance. I said, hey, it's okay if you have a remote appearance, but you need to have 2 of the cops there in Rarig's and the insurance agent's place. So he agreed to that during Zoom. Then he changed his mind again. And he said, Chip Rarig, who was the guy that gave the police the orders to attack us for walking in the ocean.
And he doesn't have jurisdiction either to command police, does he?
No. Well, he's the public emergencies director, but he did not have the authority to secure a disaster area. That's what, you're going to call a stupid disaster area. Okay. So they said that he couldn't do it in person because he had to do it remote, because he was going to be convalescing from back surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we find out because his building inspector announces the week before, oh no, we can't wait to have Chip Rarig back in work this week. So we go to a hearing and I said, hey, Your Honor, I think that we were duped. He's back at work. So I'd like, if you can please ask Mr. Fay for an explanation as to why we were lied to. He said, no, we're not addressing that today. So they canceled the settlement conference. And then the court didn't want to hear about how they played shenanigans the entire way through. So they canceled the settlement conference.
To settle with you?
Yeah, I just wanted to sit down in the room and talk with them about it.
And they canceled.
And everybody worked together to. Pardon?
And they canceled it. Why again?
Because, we got another judge involved, and I'm not even going to go through that. She was the settlement conference judge, and then she wound up canceling the settlement conference, which is even what they wanted. So, and they committed perjury on the way through. I mean, I can't believe that it's gone down like this in this country. It's really staggering. So, what's one of the last things is go to my channel, subscribe, watch. Yes. I've done a series of stuff that has happened in the Northern District over the past month. Go and watch those videos. And then if people could donate to my Gifts and Go, do you want to show that, John?
Where do I find it?
I sent it to you yesterday evening.
Let me see.
So it's help support Theresa in her fight for justice, or if they wanted to throw some in the pot through Cash App.
So is it this? Oh wait, is it this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
So Cash App is $ Theresa Buccola, TheresaBuccola. If you want to help this lady keep fighting and make it a little easy on her in the pocket. And of course, subscribe to her channel. Because like I said, what we're discussing here is just scratching the surface.
That's
Go
right.
and subscribe to Theresa Buccola, and just like me, you're going to want to binge watch the stuff she does, especially when they talk back and forth to the county commissioners meeting and stuff. And just what led up to this, it's insane. These cops and these judges and these fake judges and fake lawyers.
Oh yeah,
they're all. I mean. 90% of government employees are literally corrupt, do something dishonest. They just don't operate in an honest, righteous capacity.
Yeah, but I think that's our job.
Is to what? Expose them?
it's to expose them, to get them back on track, and because they're like spoiled brats that
Yes.
have taken control of the house.
Right.
And one of the reasons that I love doing this so much is because it's really fun to catch them being so derelict in their own jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I mean, particularly because I'm a woman, and I think it really hurts masculine pride
Yeah. Hurts their
to
little feelings,
to
especially when a
constant.
small woman is tougher and mentally stronger than all these graduates of supposed, they're supposed lawyers and they members of the bar, and yet you on your own without these degrees went and showed what a bunch of clown circuses they are.
Yeah, and it started, well, I mean, it started right after I got arrested. Oh, and, I should also say this. So they arrested me twice, right? They threw me on the ground the second time. And then I started hammering them with public records requests
Good.
and case law, because they would say, we're not going to disclose this record because it's exempt. And I would write them back long emails. No, under this penal code and this case, you are actually compelled to disclose these to me. So they were getting hammered with these emails from me. And the chief of police went down to the aquarium. He was a security guard for a while, and they had some interim chief of police. And he started making house calls to my studio to say, hey, I have that record here for you. I was just, wondering, can I come inside and do some Christmas shopping? So, and then I got some emails in Discovery where I was the talk of the town behind closed doors for months just because I was ripping them a new one. And they were like, what can we do? How can we get her to back off? She's being vaguely threatening. And they do not like when you know the law. They don't
I
like
know.
when you know the job.
Yep. They hate it because
They hate it.
you burst their highfalutin status bubble. Like they think they're special, and when anyone can go read and do what you did, not anyone, but anyone with a good amount of intellect can go and read and absorb and spend a little time and get it written down and create a plan. They're like, oh my God, we're not as special as we think we are.
Yeah. Well, I don't like people touching me.
Nope.
I don't like being treated like property. I don't
Right.
like men that think that they can go into my purse and go digging around like a bunch of little bitches. And then I don't like being lied to. So they don't understand. They're just throwing gasoline on the fire, which is what the judges in that court have now done.
That's
They've
right.
thrown, yeah.
That's right. That's right. There's certain people, their stupid Gestapo tactics just don't work on. We keep coming back. We keep coming back, and we keep coming back. We're not going to stop because we're not scared of you anymore. You're a paper tiger. You're 99% intimidation, and when that doesn't work, you go straight to corruption and violence and force. And then when that doesn't work, all of a sudden, we're sorry. Case dismissed. Please don't bother us anymore.
Well, it's humiliating to get caught in a lie.
Yes.
And I think that's, I actually saw his name was Brian Euler. He said that he was going to visit my studio to see if he could change the nature of my contact with them because I was hammering them with the law and their own dereliction of duty. Okay, so I went from being thrown on the ground to watching the chief of police watch that to now the new one is making nice and bringing over records. And then people should also watch. It is two Carmel police officers leaving traffic stop empty-handed because I got pulled over by Maldonado at the end of 2023, and he almost ripped me out of my car. I stayed calm. He ran my license because he didn't recognize me. It's another part, problem with attorneys. So he didn't recognize me until he ran my license. And then he was like, oh, just kidding.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am.
Can I
Right.
get you a cup of coffee? Would you like an escort home?
Right.
So
Matter of
it's
fact, here's $20, man. I'll talk to you later.
it's and a number of times that has happened as well. And I'm just about to upload a new video that I had another interaction with California Highway Patrol, 2 sheriff's deputies, and 1 park ranger where I got my car caught in a ditch. They ran my license with expired tags, and they let me get back in the car after it got towed out of the ditch and went on my way. So you do start to build armor, a suit of armor around yourself, because a lot of these guys are predators.
That's right.
And they're looking for prey.
That's right.
And then remain calm at all times, right? Remain calm, but knowledge is power. And there's something I don't like. They smell it, or I don't know what it is, or maybe they just they saw my name and it said like, do not engage. But I'm almost done with that video, and I'm going to get that uploaded within the next couple of days.
I had a similar situation. They said, now the cops in your area, because I went viral, got 19 million views on one video.
Wow.
And now they're like, nah, you got to watch your back every second. Every time they see you, they're going to pull you over. No one bothered me ever again, because they don't want millions and millions of eyeballs seeing what they do. They want, like you said, they want to get you, corner you, hope that you're ignorant, hope that you have zero fight in you and zero American core principles within you, and no fight, and just a mollusk or a jellyfish of an American, and they could put their tyranny on you, and you'll pay, and that'll be the end of the thing, and you just keep shearing the sheep. But when the little black sheep like you and I show up, it's a different ball game, and you've created the respect because they know that you now know how to file lawsuits and actually put teeth to your actions.
Yeah, and you have to study in between, because the interaction I had with the highway patrol was scary, because I thought there was a big crowd of people. I thought I was going to get thrown in cuffs, and I refused to field sobriety test. But I was ready to get arrested, and I thought, even in the moment, oh my God, they're going to get a warrant for my blood.
Right.
I mean, even it was a concern in the moment, but I stood my ground. Oh, here's the other thing. It's the reason I brought it up. When you're in that tense of a situation, rifling through your papers, you're not going to be able to do it. It's like muscle memory. And the things that came out of my mouth in that situation, I'm astonished when I watch it, that I was, even as much pressure as I was under, that I was able to articulate my rights. I think was like kind of intimidating to them. And I wasn't screaming, you know?
If you're deliberate and you know what the hell you're saying and it sounds right, they're like, oh boy. When I did it during my video, the first thing he goes, are you a sovereign citizen? So if I know my law and I know what I'm required to do at a traffic stop, and I question you and I don't do exactly what you say because I know what you're saying is unlawful, the next conclusion in their head is that you're a dangerous sovereign citizen. I mean, they have the RAPIST mentality. Anyone that fights against them must be wrong. They deserve what they get. And there's unfortunately millions of Americans back that nonsense up because they don't read laws, they don't know laws, and they don't know their freedoms and how important they are. Even just handing over a driver's license, everyone thinks that's no big deal. You're literally surrendering your inalienable right to privacy when you do that. It should be the biggest deal.
Yep, I agree.
And they've turned it into de facto. Everyone does this. What's your problem? We have to get rough with you. You know, they don't understand it. They think because everyone's done it and the cops have been getting away with it for decades that it must be the law, when they never confirmed and never look at the law themselves.
You know, I think that thing about sovereign citizens, I saw some sort of a bulletin, and I don't remember who sent it out. Maybe it's the FBI, but they train these guys. They're trained.
Southern Poverty Law Center puts that crap out.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Yeah, that when you start asserting your rights, they default to the sovereign citizen so that
Right.
they can denigrate you. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And marginalize you, and you're not important, and you're against the country, and you're not an American, you're a sovereign, and they're buzzwords. They're buzzwords created by government to keep people in that box of obedience, comply or die. That's it. That's all it is.
Yep. That's correct.
If technically, if you look up the definition of sovereign, it's someone who believes that he's above the law. And in reality, in this country, cops are above the law. Judges are above the law. Politicians are. Those are the real, in reality, sovereigns. And then
Right.
and because we don't want to obey those sovereigns and their contract law, commercial law, like you're saying, and we want to revert back to our inalienable rights, they use that terminology against us, and it's literally every allegation of theirs is a confession of who they are and what they're projecting onto you.
Yeah, and I actually got arrested again 6 months ago. And it was just I was just walking down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I had 3 deputies ambush me. They came around the corner. I didn't have my phone on me. And they said, "Are you Theresa Buccola?"
Yeah.
And okay, so it said, "I'm going to invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. If I'm going to answer questions, I want an attorney present." Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, before I knew it, I'm in cuffs. I've got some dude, Valdez. I don't remember what his first name is. He's groping my ass. I'm in the back of the police vehicle, strapped in. They're taking me to jail.
For?
Because failure to identify. They said I fit the description of a suspect that robbed the store around the corner. Okay.
Why?
I got the police report, I think it was a week and a half ago. These morons put it right in their police report that I invoked my Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights. And then they put the cuffs on me.
Unreal.
They're so dumb.
They really are.
They're so dumb. It's like, oh, now that I know how to do it, that's an easy lawsuit.
Yes, for you now, that's you went through the learning pains and the brain swelling, because when you try to learn this stuff, it hurts your head. You have to take breaks because putting that information into your natural hard drive, there's nerve endings and stuff in there, and you start to get a headache when you try to learn anything new, and that's why a lot of people don't want to learn, because it literally takes effort and neurons and stuff have to fire, and for it to get in there and seep in, and you might have to reread it 4 or 5 times, and most Americans are lazy and they're not willing to do that.
Right.
So now that you did all that and you've done all that legwork and you went through all the pain of learning, now that they did this to you, now you're like, oh, 42 USC, $400, blah. Now you know what to do.
Oh yeah.
And
when I read the police report, I was like, no, they didn't. No, they said she invoked her right to remain silent and demanded an attorney. Oh my God, right in their police report.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And it turns out I did not fit the description of the suspect. And so now,
Korean sumo wrestler, right?
What was that?
The person who robbed the store turned out to be a Korean sumo wrestler, right?
No, she said she was my age. She was about my age, but she was shorter. She had frizzy brown hair, Botox lips, and a big wide ass. She said she looked nothing like you.
Maybe that's why he was groping you, to make sure it measured out.
Oh my God. I mean, dude, I'm walking down the street, and now I've got my hands in torture cuffs, and he was rough, and he's like feeling me up.
Dude, and another thing is, if they were looking for a suspect, they wouldn't know their name and walk right up to you and say, "Are you Theresa Buccola?" Right?
I know.
You're so dumb.
I know. And they already knew her name was Sophia.
It was a targeted thing against you personally. Anyone with 2 brain cells can figure this out.
Yeah. So they put me in the back of the car, and I'm like, oh man, they're going to take me away to jail, and nobody's ever going to hear from me again. I said, okay, you guys, I'll give you my last name if you get me out of the cuffs and let me out of the car, which they did. And then I spelled my last name for them. And they said, okay, what's your date of birth? I said, I'm not, and this is true. They don't have any body cameras and I have my phone on me. I said, I'm not giving you another piece of information. You're going to have to put me back in the cuffs, put me in the car, and take me to jail. And I don't know what happened. Maybe it was right there. Then they ran my name and they were like, oh, well, okay, thank you, Miss Buccola, you're free to go. I was like, and I called them a bunch of names. And so it's been now 3 times in the past year and a half that I just keep getting let go.
You got that street cred.
I think I got street cred.
Good for you. That's wonderful. That's empowering. All right. We're going on 2 hours. Let's get some final thoughts in here. Thank you so much. Everybody subscribe to the Theresa Buccola. So what do you think? All in all, what's the future hold?
I am not going to stop until they yield.
Good. And you're going to keep
And
the 42 USC lawsuit, right?
yes. And like I was saying before, now it is an appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what I have to do. I will win, and they are going to apologize in Carmel. And that's the tea on that.
Awesome. Theresa,
we are owed an apology.
I cannot thank you enough for coming on. Here's her Give, Send, Go, everybody. Cash App Theresa Buccola, or this Give, Send, Go right here. And support Theresa in her fight for justice is the title of her Give, Send, Go. Also, subscribe, please subscribe to her channel, Theresa Buccola. She deserves millions of subscribers. As intellectual and honest as this lady is and righteous, she deserves a ton of she should have more than me. You know, the subscriber thing doesn't accurately portray your abilities and your intellect and what a great and righteous person you are. It's just an algorithm thing, unfortunately. But let's get her some more subs. Let's get some more eyes on our channel, and let's encourage younger women and men to become more like this American right here, instead of the ones that team up and gang up against her and you and I.
Thank you very much for having me on, John.
Love. I hope I get to meet you in the future someday, and we can do this again.
All right. Well, God bless, and thank you everybody for watching.
Thanks, young lady. Have a good day.
Okay, you too. All right, bye-bye.
There you go, guys. Theresa Buccola, super patriot, fighter. Dude, that stuff with the legal documents and the suits and getting all that typed out and getting it on the right format, that's not easy to do. I only know a few people that do it. Rogue, without a lawyer, that is. Rogue, Lane, maybe Reluctant. Thanks again, Reluctant Prophet, for this shirt. It's awesome. I really like it. And you know, Theresa, I don't know. There's not too many. It's only but the thing is, when auditing started, it was like 10 guys. It was 10 guys. Now there's so many auditors, over 1,000 for sure, and we need to be over 20,000 auditors. And we, instead of having a handful of people who do pro se the way these people are doing it, we're gonna start seeing 20 people that know how to pro se, then 100, then 1,000, and we just keep growing and stacking and stacking. Our rights were taken away from us incrementally, and we're gonna have to get them back incrementally. It's not gonna be one silver bullet. It's not gonna be one John. It's not gonna be one Theresa. It's not gonna be one Lane Myers or Freeman. It's gonna be all of us incrementally, death by 1,000 cuts, so to speak. Everybody, thanks so much, man. Please share this link as much as you can. Hit the like on the way out. Please subscribe for 99 cents a month. Give it to me. I'm worth it, because YouTube's hating. My last interview I had with the constitutional lawyer, she was awesome, Catherine Henry. Right away, they demonetized it or restricted it or whatever you call that yellow dollar sign. So that's it, everyone. Please subscribe to Theresa Buccola. She's wonderful. You don't get much better than this, man. Talk about patriot. This lady is a patriot, and I want her channel to blow up. I would love for it to blow up. I know I don't have the reach to get her to blow up, but maybe some other people can cover what a patriot this lady is, make a nice compilation video of her stuff, and we'll go from there. In the meantime, peace and tranquility. I really thank everybody. Here's her thing, her link right there. And constitutional freedom fighter, I'm going to call you here in a minute and give you her information so you can fix her whatever technical stuff she had. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, public apology in the newspaper. That's a great idea. They should put it in every newspaper once a week for a year. Everybody have a good day, man. I haven't eaten in an hour and 54 minutes and 42 seconds, so got to cut this live stream. All right, later.